judgment, just real talk. This is the Apology Accepted podcast. The views expressed on the Apology Accepted podcast are those of the host and guest and do not reflect the views of any affiliate organization or individual. The content is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. For personal, legal, or emotional matters, please consult a qualified professional. By continuing to listen to this podcast, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Hey friends, welcome back to the Apology Accepted podcast, the space where we dive into real conversations about healing, growth, and creating the life we deserve. I am your host, LaTesha Monique, and I am so grateful to have you tune in to this episode. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or you're a returning listener, I'm so glad you're here. This space is for you, friend. This week's episode is about closing the chapter without an apology. As the year comes to a close, this episode, I want to honor how far we all have come without explaining, justifying, or apologizing for our growth. This space is to reflect on the lessons learned, the boundaries set, the relationships released, and the strength it took to actually keep going. This episode is an invitation to close the chapter with grace, carry the wisdom that we received throughout the year forward, and walk into this new year, 2026, grounded, healed, and unapologetically aligned. So let's take a deep dive into the last 360, 2 days, 3 days. Reflecting without self-blame. As the year comes to a close, it is important to reflect honestly without turning the reflection into this self-punishment type of thing. Growth doesn't mean you got everything right. It means you learned something valuable along the way. This year may have included missteps, moments of doubt, or decisions you wish you had handled differently. I know I had a lot of those. But instead of replaying those moments with shame, this is the time right now to acknowledge that you were doing the best you could with what you knew at that time. Reflection isn't about rewriting the past. It's about extracting wisdom from it so we don't have to repeat the same lessons next year. You know, this is the time where we're going to focus on, okay, where was the growth? We're not going to take everything. We're going to extract some things and we're going to build from that as we grow forward. All of our lessons that we need, we're going to take into this new year with understanding that, hey, these were our growing pains. All these things that we done got through 2025, they were growing pains. So we know how to handle 2026. And we're going to handle 2026 with care. Absolutely. So let's not do the self-reflecting and doing self-punishment, because that's not what this is about. Self-punishment is not what reflecting is about. And so if you are one of those people, like I was, doing self-reflecting, and then it was just you were your own target. You was throwing the dot literally at yourself. This is not that. And today it stops. Today we change the narrative on how we reflect throughout our year. Again, we're going to extract those lessons that we need to carry on until our new year. And in doing so, we just have to always remember that no, we cannot change the past, but what we can do is prepare our future. At all times, we can prepare our future. So don't get stuck. Don't get stuck on saying, oh, well, I should have did this differently. And I know a lot of times, especially if you're a parent, and I say this because I do have a lot of parents that tap in, and I love y'all feedback. Thank you. Feedback. Thank you, by the way. But every time I talk to a parent, it's always every time I talk to a parent, when it pertains to reflecting, one of the main subjects is children. One of the main subjects is children. It's like, oh, I wish I would have done this differently with my child, or, I should have did this. I should have provided that. I should have allowed this, or I shouldn't have allowed this. And it is okay to sit in that moment, but only for a moment. We cannot stay there. Why? Because we can't change what has already been done. Now, what we can do, again, is always prepare our future. So we can always say, but moving forward, this is what I'm going to do. I am one of those parents. I always tell people all the time, if you have more than one kid, your first child is always, lack of a better word, the test dummy. Because parenting comes with no instructions. So you don't get the blueprint on how to do this correctly. Because in all honesty, is no correct way to actually parent in a fact where your ending is going to be perfect. All right. Now, correct ways for ourselves in people that live certain lifestyles, the correct way is, live in a good neighborhood, good community, nice home, raise a child to be respectful, and so on and so forth. Now, those are our correct ways. But again, it comes with no book where you could just be like, oh, dang, punishment 101. Let me find the page for that. And how do I do that? No. But what we can do is understand where our mistakes were and move forward. So it's always then you get that next child. That next child, you don't repeat the same things that you may have felt like, I should have done things differently. But now that you know better, with that second child, you do things differently. Maybe. Because, just being honest, sometimes it might take the third or fourth child for us to figure out, okay, what is happening and I got to do better. But nevertheless, again, the point is the past time cannot be changed. We only have control over how we are going to maneuver in our future. And that's what we have to make sure that we focus on: the forward, the moving forward, the keeping one foot in front of the other. We have to make sure that that is the priority in knowing how, okay, I did my reflection. This is what I got. Let me take the pieces that I need, that I'm going to adjust in my next year, and let me go ahead and work it and move accordingly, right? Now, with moving accordingly, okay, we now have to release what couldn't come with us. Because, some people, I used to be one, I used to try to take everything with me from year to year to year. Just everything is just coming with me. But then I learned that not everything that started the year with me was meant to finish by my side at the end of the year. That means some relationships, habits, versions of myself. People always like, well, that's just me. Yeah, whatever. Expectations. All of these things sometimes have to be released and can't fully make it with you onto your next. Not because you failed, but because you evolved. We evolved in so many different spaces, and sometimes we evolve and don't even realize that we evolved because we are continuously moving and not really paying attention solely to the things that we have done. And I know for me, one of the things that I truly enjoy was attending the Women Evolve conference. Hello, we evolve. Women Evolve. Okay. But attending the Sarah Jakes Women Evolve conference has it's been one of those conferences where I swear is refreshing. If you've never attended one, I am going to suggest you try to attend one. I hope she bring it to take it back to Texas, and for September instead of July. But nevertheless, if you have never attended, it's such a refreshing conference, and you have to be able to be in attendance fully in order to just get everything that is presented to you during those 3 days. I think it's 3 days. 4 days. Is it 2? No. It might be 2.5 days. No, I think it's 3 days. So, anyway, letting go of some of these things, some of these habits, some of these versions of yourselves, some of these relationships, letting go can feel very uncomfortable, especially when you've invested time, love, loyalty, like you have given 100% effort into these things. It is very uncomfortable to release them and say, you know what, nah, this no longer works for me. It's uncomfortable. It's very, I don't have another word for that. It's very uncomfortable. And you guys know what I mean if you've ever really, truly had to transition into something that you knew was for the better, meaning you had to release some things in order to get to that next point or that next step. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But Sometimes closure doesn't come with an explanation or an apology. And that's, again, when I started this podcast, when I started the Apology Accepted podcast, it was because I needed to be able to first apologize to myself for all the things I put myself through, but I also needed to be able to release folks and release animosity and the anger and the guilt and some resentment. And I had to be able to say, you know what? I accept the apologies that I will never get. I will never hear. I'm not going to get them. But guess what? I have to first accept my own apology to myself for putting myself through such turmoil for so long, holding on to all this negativity. But then I had to understand that, you know what? Even without saying, with no words coming to my ears, I accept the apologies that I will never hear. And again, it comes with acceptance. You have to be fully in tune in yourself first and foremost, but you have to be fully in tune of your vision for your next move. For me, I would say I just used to kind of move with no purpose. I used to move with no goals. I had no vision for where I was going. A lot of my movements, especially in my early adult life, my early 20s and things like that, I moved. Every move I made was to survive versus having a reason and a purpose and goals and ideas for how I wanted to look once I got to that next step. I didn't have those. And so along the way, I learned that, hey, having goals is not just for when I was in school. Having goals is actually a real life thing that we all should have so we know how we're moving. And every move that we're making forward is strategic. Me, again, I was just moving in survival. I knew how to survive. That's where I was comfortable at. And so that's what I did. When I became a business owner, I had no clue to what I was doing. And it was very uncomfortable for me to step outside of, hey, if I go here and I work 40 hours, I'm going to get paid regardless. I'm going to get paid. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do 8 hours Monday through Friday, and I'm going to get a check for that. That's comfortability for me. So to step outside of that was very uncomfortable. But I was learning how to have vision for myself, how to have expectation, goal setting. Why is that important? Because guess what? When I reach this goal, I got another goal to get to. And when I reach this, I have another one. So it's every goal you set for yourself, and then you meet that goal, and then your next goal, whether we realize it or not, is helping us keep one foot forward. And that's why we have to make sure that we have to detox. We have to release things because everything cannot go with us every year that we move forward. It's just that. I know it's a picture that go around on social media. I think it's Facebook that I seen it, where it's the woman and she's stepping up on each step of the year, and she got like all these trash bags around her, and then like she's holding a trash bag, and it has the different, well, not the different, but the previous years on them. So I know we're going to see it again this year because this photo comes around every year this time. So we're going to see it, and it's going to be, it's going to be 2025. It's going to be 4, 3, 2. And it normally goes back 5 years from the picture that I seen. And I like that picture because I'm like, okay, I definitely understand what this picture is saying. Again, is trash bags in this picture situation with the trash cans. But what I got is the release of a lot of things that happened in the previous years, and understanding that she's not taking those in this new year as she step into the new year. So y'all gonna see that. When y'all see that, let me know. I know. When I see it, I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna share it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Nevertheless, when we release what no longer aligns, it creates a space for us. It creates a space for peace, clarity, and healthier connections moving forward. Because I promise you guys that and I've talked about this in previous episodes where I say, 2020 was the year that I said, I am healing for real. And I shared how when I first started healing, it was hard and it hurt. And so I felt like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Because I've always talked about healing before, and that word is definitely one of those, is a trending word. Like every year is like, oh, I'm healing and I'm losing weight and I'm whatever. And I never put forth the effort for healing like I did in 2020. Because healing for me prior to 2020 looked like out of sight, out of mind. It looked like, okay, we're not talking about it. Cool. Let me forget it. It just looked like I pushed everything to the back of my mind. And as long as it didn't come up, I was good. But what I noticed is that when things started to surface, things that I put back in the back of my head or out of sight, out of mind, when they came to surface, I would hurt. And it was a type of hurt where it was just unclear, no type of closure. It was a very sting type of feeling that I used to feel. And so once I said, I have to address this head on versus saying out of sight, out of mind, or I ain't gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna remove myself. And so that was my healing, me removing myself so it no longer bothered me. But it just wasn't true. Remove myself, yes, but I was missing a very important part, and that was I still had to address the situation and then remove myself. But once I did, my gosh, the weight that was lifted from me, I was feeling, because it didn't come all at, it wasn't just a one time boom, now I feel light. No, it was a process that it was just day by day. I was just releasing things that no longer aligned with the overall vision I seen for me. Because the one thing I had to ask myself was, what do you want? What do you want? When do you want to have it? And where are you trying to be when this wonderful thing happened? All right. But to get there, it is still some painful parts, but I don't care what nobody say. Anybody that say they have healed, like, and they had no pain in that process, no. No. And you know what? And I shouldn't say that, because everybody's process is different. For me, healing for me is very painful and it hurts, because again, we let go of things that we were all so comfortable with at one point of time in our lives. And this comfortability may have been for several seasons versus just one season. So to let go, to release, and all of those things is definitely a painful feeling. However, once you do it, it definitely creates a space for peace and clarity and healthier connections moving forward. That worked for me. And I can definitely testify to my place of peace today, my place of clarity today, healthier connections today versus 2015, 2017, 16, leading up to 2020. I definitely have healthier connections. So when you are reflecting, understand that it's not just the self-blaming, but in those moments, you're going to have to release something. Because again, everything can't come with you year after year after year after year. And each year you get heavier and heavier. Not by weight. I'm not talking about nobody's weight, okay? But you get heavier and heavier with what you're holding on to. Okay? So we have to realize that at some point, something has to be released, because everything can't go. And again, let me just say this. Relationships, it's time to evaluate them. I don't care what type of relationship it is, whether it's, a friendship, a relationship with a significant other, a partnership, a cousinship, a mamaship, daddyship. It don't matter what the relationship is. It's time to evaluate them. It's time to evaluate your daily activity, your habits. What habits do you have? And are these good habits? And are these habits that are going to help you in this upcoming year get to where you need to be? It's time to evaluate them. The version of yourself. It's time to evaluate yourself. Y'all know it's this time of year where on your job, you're about to get an evaluation. Do not allow your supervisor or your HR department or whoever does your evaluation at your job, do not let them be the only individuals that's evaluating you. You should be able to evaluate yourself and say, you know what? This version of me, let me remove this. This version of me, I need to step it up. This version of me, I need to do better. You can evaluate yourself because you know what you've been doing all year. Whether it's something or whether it's nothing, you know. And it's time right now to do just that. So what are we going to do? We are entering the new year with intention, not pressure. No pressure. As we look ahead, the new year doesn't it doesn't have to be about proving anything to anyone. So we got to get that out of our heads. We don't have to prove anything to anyone. It doesn't require a perfect plan. It doesn't require unrealistic goals or constant hustle. I gotta do early mornings, late nights. It doesn't require that. Instead, it's an opportunity to move forward with pure intention, to choose alignment over approval and peace over performance. We have to make sure that our next is aligned with what we're trying to do, whatever that next may be. All right. Carrying the lessons, not the weight. So again, we gonna release. We gonna take out the bits and pieces that we need for the last 330 some odd days. We're taking bits and pieces. We're not taking everything. We only carrying the lessons. We are not carrying the self-punishments. Only the lesson, not the weight. Walk into the next chapter or phase, again, whatever you call your new year. We're going to walk into that, though, grounded into who you've become, trusting that you don't need permission to rest, grow, or start again. You don't need no one's permission. You are allowed to move forward gently, confidently, and unapologetically. Because guess what? You don't owe anybody an explanation for nothing. Nothing at all. Start as many times as you need to start. Rest as long as you need to rest. Okay? Grow as much as you want to grow. It's all up to you. Okay? Nobody else. And let me just share this with you guys because, again, when I started this podcast, I had no clue to what I was doing. And it was just, my friend, my sis, the career cheerleader, she was just like, just start. And I'm like, from where? Like, and I've been sitting on this idea for years. Like I always talked about it, but I just didn't know how I wanted that to look. And then I felt like, okay, I'm doing a podcast, so I gotta be in front of a camera. I have to, go live, and I have to look a certain way, and I just don't feel like doing that all the time. Okay, because let me tell you something. The folks that go live, and this is no like jab to anyone that do lives, because I do them. However, it is just not my thing where I want to commit, because I don't always want to have a beat face or have my bra on, for lack of I just want to be comfortable. And that's really not what lives used to be. So now I'm seeing a little trend with folk looking however they want to look. And I like this trend for them. you know, but it was at one point I thought I had to be a certain way, and I had to keep up with a certain type of image in order to do a thing. And so that is what kept me from doing a thing, because I'm like, I am exhausted. I just worked. I just did a class. I don't feel like coming before a camera. I just don't feel like it. And I was telling my sister, I was saying, most of the time I record, I am laying in my bed just talking to y'all. Like, and I am comfortable. I am, my space is peaceful. Like, I don't have the urge to be like, okay, let me go and let me do my hair, and let me put makeup on, and I gotta put jewelry on, and no, I just don't want to. And once I realized that I don't owe anybody anything, no explanation of why I'm not doing this on video, no explanation of, going live and you have to look a certain type of way. I don't owe anybody anything, so I just started. And for me, that was like the best advice that I can get, because I am who I am, and I only want to be me, and I only want to do what I want to do. That is really the gist of it. And so I have learned to move forward gently. I have definitely grown in my confidence, because I was not always confident in some of the things that I was doing. Even though I've been doing it for years, I still did not have a full sense of confidence. But today, I told another sister of mine, a good girlfriend of mine, that this is my showing season. So I'm going into my next year of growth showing. I don't necessarily want to talk about a whole lot of what I'm trying to do. Nah, for the last 8 months, I've just honestly had my head down doing the things that I needed to do to get to that next goal that I have, and where I want to be next. And it really doesn't require me doing a whole lot of talking. I have to have action. So again, take the rest, grow, start again, move gently. Do not move in a rush. You don't have to take off in a sprint. You're going to tire yourself out really fast. And then the next thing you know, nothing is going to get done. All right? Move forward gently, confidently. Feel confident in what you're doing. Feel good about what you're doing. And do all of those things unapologetically. Okay? Promise? Yeah. Put it in your journals. Y'all know how I feel about these journals now. So make sure y'all getting it in. I hope you received some type of tool to add to your toolbox. All right? As we close out this episode and this year, yes, this is the last episode of 2025 of the Apology Accepted podcast. I want to remind you, or better yet, I want you to remember that, again, you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you survived 2025. You don't owe anyone an explanation of how you healed or how you changed in 2025. You're allowed to reflect without shame, release what no longer fits, and move forward without pressure. No pressure, y'all. Take the lessons with you, but leave the weight behind. If this year taught you anything, let it be that growth doesn't always look loud, and healing doesn't always come with closure. Sometimes it simply comes with clarity, and that should be enough. Thank you for spending time with me on this last episode of 2025 of the Apology Accepted podcast. Whether you've been here all year or you're just finding your way to this space, your presence matters. As you step into the new year, do it with grace, intention, and trust in the person you're becoming. Until next time, you guys, stay safe. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Apology Accepted podcast. I hope today's conversation sparked some growth for you. Be sure to subscribe and share with others who might need this reminder too. Until next time, you all, remember, healing starts with a simple apology. Take care.